Hello there, this is Dimitris Christou and I'm back with another Blender. No, this is not Blender, this is Mandelbulb 3D. And we're going to take a look at building some stuff using Mandelbulb. And the truth about this one, and this will be pretty fun, is that although I've put together a feature-length film with fractals, I really can't say I know how Mandelbulb actually works. And we're going to take a look at Mandelbulb using experience. What I've learned here, I've learned through trial and error, so if you don't want or can't delve into all the math included in building these awesome landscapes in Mandelbulb, you should follow along in the first, hope will be more, Mandelbulb guide from me. So we have the central window here, it is the view, and what we'll start with is this important window here called formulas. Now these formulas right here are the math that generate the fractals that we'll be seeing in this window. What you have to do is move at this little menu here and select a formula to be generated for your fractal. I'm going to select the E tetra VS, let's select it, and you can see here values for the fractal. And you can also change this one and change these values here to get different looking fractals. You can see we have X, Y, Z rotation, we have fold scale and all that, and you can fiddle with them as you create your fractals. Once you have your formula ready, you can hit calculate 3D to see what your formula looks like. Okay. I'm going to change the width and height. Let's set it to 1280 to 960 and let's hit calculate again once more. Okay, let's wait a bit. You can see the rendering bar down here. Will soon be done. Okay, now it adds the ambient shadow. Okay, and we're good. Alright. Now once you see something interesting here, I'm going to bring this one down. Let's set it to 902 and 675. Once you find something that you like, a fractal that you like, what you have to do is hit this button, the 3D navigation button. Okay. Now what happens here is that we have a window that sees the fractal structure in real time. What you now might want to do is to put away your mouse. And what I'm doing here is putting my left hand over at WSAND on my keyboard. Most of you will be familiar with these keys when you're gaming on your PCs. And I'll also put my right hand over at I, K, J, and L, where J and L are left and right. So my left hand with WSAD controls the movement, while the I, K, J, and L hand controls where I look. And now we will use these keys to navigate around the fractal. And again, you should first find something that you like. Let's close this one. Let's try another one, okay? I'm closing the real-time window, okay? And I'm going to select another one, and I'm going to see something else here. Let's select the Gen IFS, hit calculate 3D, and you can see what we're getting. And another interesting thing to do here is to mix two formulas. So we have the Gen IFS formula, and I'm clicking on the FO2, the second formula tab here, and I'm going to select another formula. Let's select half oct IFS, and then hit calculate to calculate the new formula. And what you see here generated is these two formulas put together. Alright, I don't know how each one affects the fractal, but you can mix your results by putting different formulas together. Now this looks quite interesting. Let's take a look through the 3D navigation. And we have the old fractal here. All you have to do is click parameter to take the parameter from the displayed fractal from the main program and put it into the 3D navigation viewer. Again, left hand on WSAD and right hand on YKJNL. Let's move around and try to find something nice. Okay. Now I'm hitting W and moving closer to my fractal. And all you have to do now is find nice little patterns that you can move your camera close to and find something interesting to look at. Okay, hitting the keys. And we're getting something pretty nice here. Now what I'll also do is click this little arrow here, and you can see we have the far plane, the field of view, and a few other options. I'm going to change the far plane, and this in general is how far from the camera your fractal construct is built. I'm going to pull this one away and increase the number here. Let's set it up to 400. And as you can see, as I put 4 in, you can see that we're getting far less of the fractal structure. So let's increase this one. Let's set it to 400. And you can see we're getting more. As the camera moves out, we're seeing more of our fractal. Now, one of the numbers, one of the parameters here you have to keep an eye on is the zoom parameter. You can see it right here. Now this is pretty important, and as you will navigate in your fractals, you will see that as you move deeper, your zoom value will increase. Now, one important thing about it is that when you're too deep, or when your virtual camera intersects with one object, you'll be getting some ridiculously big values for the zoom. Now, in general, what you have to do is try to keep the zoom value here at low values, so you will be getting a clean, nice looking fractal. Now we have an interesting view right here, and let's see this one. Okay, this one looks quite nice. Now that we've set the camera and all, we can you can also, excuse me for that, you can also navigate using those keys, but I find it to be quite easier using the keys on your keyboard. Now that we're good, I'll click View to Main and close the 3D navigation and hit Calculate 3D to navigate to actually see what I was looking through the 3D navigation window. And you can see the fractal here put together. We have the main rendering pass, and then we'll be having the ambient occlusion, the ambient side of actually. Okay, now looking nice. You can also work again with the 3D navigation. Let's see, let's try to find another angle. Let's move closer to these. They look pretty interesting. Okay. And again, no expert here, just what I see is what I get. And I'm trying to find something interesting to point my camera at. And this is pretty nice. I really like this one in Mandelbulb. This is part luck, part skill. And you have to sort of trust and work with the software in order to get the results. And yeah, this one looks nice. Let's view to main and let's render this one. Hit Calculate 3D to render. Okay. Now next thing we'll see is how to make some adjustments on our final image here. Let's say that we're like this fractal structure as it is, and we like the camera angle and all we have to do now is move over to lighting and Yep, the fractal is ready. Now moving over to lighting, we have some lighting options here. We have the first light, second, third, fourth, 5, etc. We only have the first light on. You can change the light color. This is set to a slight yellow color. You can set it to be perfect white. And you can see the 3D view here is updated in almost real time. You can also change the fractal diffuse. Click the diffuse to get this. And then what I usually do is move over, and actually we're having specular up. These are the specular colors, and the bottom colors are the diffuse colors. Okay, so let's randomize the diffuse colors, and you can instantly see that we're getting something changing here, and we're changing the colors that are applied on the fractal. Now you can edit those sliders here and change the way the colors affect the fractal. And this is a gradient, as you can see. This one takes the, as I can understand, this one takes the depth of the fractal structure and paints color along, the depth. So we're having green at the bottom, and as we move closer to the camera, we have all these colors. You can see this color right here is close to the camera and all that. You can also check random to randomize the specular, and again random to randomize the diffuse. If you can see your image updated, hit update image to update it and you're good to go. Now this one looks pretty interesting, and what you can also do is move over to the ambient tab. And here we have some ambient light applied to the scene. You can see it right here. We have two colors, and these two colors are both affecting the light of the scene, the general light of the scene. Let's change this one to an orange one, and you can see that you can see how this one illuminates the scene. And let's change this one to a white one, and let's see how this one will look. Okay, pretty nice. You can also affect the depth, and the depth is mostly about the background gradient here. And you can, for example, to see it, you can change this one color to white, and the other, let's change the other and make it a black one, and you can see that we're having gradient from black to white. You can change this one to have some more sky-ish colors. Let's make one of them blue, okay, and the other one, let's make it a bright, very bright, almost close to white or yellow. Okay, and you can see what we're getting. Now you can also change the fog. You have the dynamic fog here, and if you bring this one up, the dynamic fog slider here, you're getting the fog, closer to the, moving closer to the camera, and if you bring this one down, you're having less fog. And actually this one also affects the scene illumination. The fractals here, as I've figured out, use a universal, some sort of tricks to get the ambient shadows and all put together. So everything you do, everything you change of the colors affects the overall look of your fractal scene. What you can also do is click light 2 and set it on and add a second light and so on and so forth. Feel free to experiment with those options. What we also have here is some presets. You can see it's sun, slime, metallic, flower and all. Let's click at one of these. Let's see the flower one, and let's see the metallic one. And you can see that these drastically change the look of the fractal. And as always, you can select one of them and then move over to the diffuse channel and change the colors. You can also use your own colors. You don't have to hit random every time. I can right mouse button click on this color, so I'm getting color picker here, and pick another color. Let's pick a blue, hit OK, and you can see the blue in the fractal. Alright. Now I'll move over to the post-process tab. Okay, click here, and we're getting the post-process. Now what we can do here, we have, as you can see, we have a green light next to the ambient shadows, and that means that the ambient shadows are calculated whenever we render our fractal. What you can also do here is enable the hard shadows. Now I'm going to expand the hard shadows and click calculate hard shadows automatically. And let's hit calculate now to calculate these hard shadows as well. Okay, you can see them calculated and they're over our fractal, which looks pretty nice after working with it for a while. You can also have the hard shadows and decide not to use the ambient shadows, so you can uncheck this one and calculate 3D. And this time around, Mandelbulb will calculate the fractal without the ambient shadows. Okay. Let's wait a bit. We have the main rendering pass going on. Okay, and soon we'll have the hard shadows. Okay. Now this is how the fractal looks without the ambient shadows. Let's calculate them. And you can see that I'm checking this one and hitting calculate now. And Mandelbulb only calculates the ambient shadows and puts them over on our fractal. Pretty nice. Alright. What we also have is reflections and transparency. You can enable those as well. I'll bring the depth down to 1. And I'm guessing that the depth is, the depth of reflections. I mean, one object is reflected once, and then if you consider that the light is bouncing again, it reflects twice, and so on. Let's calculate the reflections. Click calculate now. And you can see the reflections bar right here is actually pretty slower. We're calculating the reflections. And to be honest, I usually render big images and I rarely use reflections because 1, they take too long to render, and 2, I don't see any drastic change to the scene. I mean, if you can afford to render big images and have some ultra strong processor, feel free to work with reflections. I usually uncheck them. We also have depth of field, and you can calculate automatically, and let's hit calculate now. Let's see how this one will affect the fractal. And again, waiting for a while. And this one blurs the entire image. So what we'll do for this one is we need to have 2 values for the depth, the Z1 and the Z2. Now these are actually focus points, okay? So let's see what we'll do. I'm going to click get Z1 and then click on the image. And wherever I'll click on my fractal here, I'll tell Mandelbulb that I want this point to be the first focal point, and I'm clicking right here. And also hit get Z2, and I'm using a second focal point. And as you can see, I'm clicking farther in the fractal construct. I'm clicking on this blue part here, the blue area here. So you can see that we're getting a Z1 sharp of 1.8, since this part is close to the camera, and a Z2 sharp at 158, and this is because we've clicked the fractal that is way away from the camera. Now let's calculate the depth of field once more to see how this one will look. And what actually happens is that it blurs the image after the first calculation, and then it doesn't look all that good. So I'm going to calculate 3D to calculate the entire thing. And what we have to do is wait a bit. Now while this renders, what we have here is some options for the fractal, for the render, and you can add stereo, you can adjust the camera, the field of view. You can see that we can also adjust the field of view in the 3D navigation window settings. And there are lots of options here. I'll let you dig on those on your own. And let's see. Okay. Now we have a slight depth of field effect. Now it's fully rendered and it's calculated the depth of field from the start. And you can see that we're getting some nice blur back here and some nice blur over here. And we're also getting some out of focus spots right here, and these are closer to the camera. And again, this one uses a fractal structure when viewed through the camera. Everything happens through the virtual camera. So this is it. These are the main parts of Mandelbulb. You have the 3D view here. What you have to do is select your formula from this window and then move over to the 3D navigation to move around your fractal construct and find a view and an angle you enjoy most. You then move over to lighting and adjust the specular, diffuse, lights and ambient for your scene. And you then move over to post-process to work with your ambient shadows, hard shadows, depth of field, reflections and all. And you work with those things until you find something that you like. So this is Mandelbulb. This is the way to work with Mandelbulb when you don't know a thing about generating fractals and all that. Hope you enjoyed it. I might take another look at Mandelbulb, and it will be about building animations using Mandelbulb. So this is Dimitris Christou, and thanks for watching.